Hi, I'm Pollyanna McIntosh. You're watching After the Dead on Comicbook.com.
What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday night. The Walking Dead is back, which means we are back. Welcome to After the Dead. If it is your first time joining us, we do this every Sunday night after The Walking Dead. This is Janelle Wheeler.
Hello, I'm so excited.
I am Brandon Davis. Call me BD, guys. We are so happy. Please share our show with your friends. Click the like on our page because we do this every Sunday night. We talk to the cast and crew. Just like you saw, we had the best intro ever. Pollyanna McIntosh, you know her as Jadis. She's the coolest woman alive. She introduced our show. We are going to talk to the cast and crew tonight. We're going to break down Episode 100. This is a milestone. I feel like we are the smallest little part of the show, and I'm so happy about it. And 100 episodes of The Walking Dead, the Season 8 premiere. We've waited so long. It was the complete opposite of the Season 7 premiere.
It was amazing. It was awesome.
All right, immediate reaction. Janelle,
Okay.
What do you think?
So I wanted a little bit more violence. I love the gore. That's kind of why I love The Walking Dead. But I loved being able to see all of the groups, all of the bases were covered. I wasn't left wondering what was going to happen to any specific character except for, you know, the priest at the end. But besides that, I'm very excited about it, and I was really satisfied with this.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Father Gabriel's situation, and we're gonna break down the Easter eggs. There's a lot of references to the previous episodes. We are going to completely break this episode down. We are going to hear from the cast and crew of The Walking Dead as we do every Sunday night here on After the Dead. So please make sure, as I said, share our page with and our show with your friends, the fellow Deadies. But first, there is huge news in the world of The Walking Dead. The crossover. It is finally announced that a character from either Fear the Walking Dead or The Walking Dead will join the other series in some way. We don't know when, we don't know how, we don't know for how long. There are a million different theories out there. Madison is a whisperer. Alicia is being shipped with Maggie already. I don't know how that's even possible. But we have a few of our own. And I actually want to start with one that I haven't seen very many people talking about yet. But I think it's definitely possible. I think Kalataka Walker, you met him in Season 3 of Fear the Walking Dead. He might just turn out to be the character joining The Walking Dead. Should it be a Fear character joining the other series? And here's why. Beta. Somebody has to be Beta, and if we haven't learned Beta's backstory in the comics, but everyone thinks Madison is going to be Alpha, and while, I mean, I agree, she's basically a villain. I mean, she's the most villainous protagonist ever. She killed Troy, I was mad. But the Fear finale saw Kalataka this past Sunday night, a week ago, heading north with Crazy Dog. So if he heads north, then he gets another group to follow him.
Wow.
Never know. This is a guy who has been a leader of people before. I mean, he has a massive, intimidating figure, just like Beta from the comics. And he already has very little, if any, reservations about killing anybody.
That is a great theory. I never would have thought of that. I'm glad that the show is live because I'm genuinely shocked. That is such a good theory. I'm so proud of you. Bravo.
It's literally my job, but I will take a bow. Thank you very much, everybody.
I was such a Madison Whisperer fan, and now my mind is blown.
Here's the thing with Madison and the Whisperer. This is my problem with that. Everybody thinks Madison might be a Whisperer because she has a daughter. She's already kind of a villain, but Alicia is already way older than Carl, and it's only the beginning of the apocalypse for them.
Point.
So if that would be very much illegal in the world where there's law, if he's going to be getting it on with Alicia, because she'll be like 25, and Carl's still supposed to be like 17.
Spoilers.
This is all comics. I like to warn you guys. We talk about the comics. But there is a number of ways this could happen, you know?
Absolutely. There's also another theory. I mean, there's quite a few different theories, but there's Morales. Morales left for Birmingham with his family at the beginning of The Walking Dead, Season 1. And Madison's, maybe she wants to end up back where she's from, Birmingham. I mean, now she's stranded.
Yeah.
Water's gone.
This became a really popular thing that everybody was talking about early on in Season 3 of Fear the Walking Dead when Kim Dickens' kind of southern accent came out a little bit. They kind of reminded people she's from Alabama, and everybody was like, wait, there's somebody from Alabama. Both the Dixon brothers are from Alabama, but also Morales.
Right.
I don't think we can see the Dixons because they were already in Atlanta at the very start. We were not going to see young Daryl.
More Daryl.
Guys, I have reached out to Juan G. Pareja, who played Morales on The Walking Dead. He is so game for it. At the time that I had talked to him, which was very recently, he hadn't heard anything yet, so I don't know if this is the plan. But he is up for it. He loves using the hashtag Morales Lives, and this dude is in super good shape.
I would love to see him.
Juan got jacked. I mean, he's shredded
That makes
now.
sense in the zombie apocalypse. You have to get jacked. I mean, unless you're Eugene hanging out, like, just eating off of everybody.
How much would it suck if you worked that hard to get super shredded and then you just get bit, like, and that's it? Oh, but finally, guys, there is one more theory. This is the popular theory. Abraham Ford becoming the crossover character with his backstory, tying him to Houston, Texas, the timeline of when he was there before he encounters Eugene. He's there with his family. It makes him a prime candidate. There were several references to Houston in what I'm saying is the amazing season 3 finale of Fear the Walking Dead. I loved season 3. I thought the finale was one of the best episodes of either show, Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead. If you're not watching that show, you missed out big time this season. But several times, Proctor John and other characters mentioned Houston. Right now, everyone may or may not be dead. I don't know.
Nobody knows.
We might see the group, whoever survives the finale of Fear the Walking Dead, head to the 4th largest city in the country in season 4, and maybe they will find Michael Cudlett's character there, which I think is a cool.
Second best. I mean, first best would be Glenn. But how are we going to fit Glenn in? I've given up the Glenn theories. It's not going to happen. But yes, second best would be Abraham for me. I mean,
and it also, this is definitely a move, you know, that they're gonna try to boost ratings. Fear the Walking Dead has gotten really, really good. There's no question about it. But the ratings aren't going up. You bring someone like Abraham, you bring someone that the Walking Dead fans are deeply invested in, and you put him on the show, even if it's just for a few episodes, they're gonna watch it. You have a few really good episodes, they might stick around.
I know.
I'm all for it.
I wish that it would be the whole crew. I wish it'd be the whole Abraham crew. I mean, that would be great to see everybody on there. I love the crossover theory personally. I know some people don't really like that idea. It's 2 separate worlds, but I love the crossover theory. Let me know if you guys feel the same way.
Well, what's really interesting is that right before this was announced at New York Comic Con, right, Michael Cudlitz gets on Twitter and he tweets this out. Crazy stuff, for lack of a better word, is about to go down. See y'all on the other side. And then that day, they announced this crossover. So is the other side Fear the Walking Dead? I don't know.
I mean, it has to be.
It could be. I did have a chance to talk with the executive producer of both Fear and The Walking Dead, Greg Nicotero, who directed episode 100, by the way, about this. I asked him how long has this been in the works and what does he think of the Abraham theory. Check this out.
I love the Abraham theory. I think it's super smart. You know, it's been in the works for a little while, but you know, I mean, to be really honest, I'm so deep into Walking Dead that you know, I mean, I haven't really, you know, I haven't read any of the outlines for Fear yet. That'll probably have to wait till I'm out from underneath all this stuff.
So, I mean, as for what, when, and how that whole crossover is going to go down, I mean, you can bet on Fear the Walking Dead Season 4, you can bet on The Walking Dead Season 8 or 9. We still don't know yet. We're going to have to wait and see. But right now, we do have something cool. We had the chance to visit the set of The Walking Dead. I actually got to go to episode 100 a couple times. But we also got a special tour of the sets the series once used in Sonoy, Georgia, thanks to Atlanta Movie Tours, which was an epic experience. Check this out. Hey everybody, it is a beautiful day. We're in the Walking Dead capital of the world. We're in Sonoy, Georgia. We're actually on the Woodbury Strip right outside the Walking Dead Cafe. I'm here with my friend Colin. Hey buddy. Colin, you are with Atlanta Movie Tours.
I am.
And you guys do a lot of tours with the Walking Dead sets.
We do.
And I thought that'd be really cool, but I was wondering if before we go check some of these sets out, you could tell everybody a little bit about what you guys do down here.
Absolutely. So we have 3 different bus tours for the Walking Dead. 1 out of Atlanta, but 2 of them right out of here, out of Sonoy. And we see all different places, all different locations, but we tour around on a nice coach bus. We got videos to play at each of the spots that we have. And we just really relive The Walking Dead and where they filmed a lot of this stuff. It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful day. There are actually Walking Dead fans up and down the strip everywhere. Yes. What do you say? Can we go check this stuff out?
Well, do you want to?
Yes, I want to. Yes, I'm sure. This looks kind of familiar.
So yeah, check this out. This apparently is Andrea's favorite spot in all of Woodbury, right? Because she had 3 different conversations with 3 different characters here. One of them is Milton and Andrea. They conspire to get Andrea out of town when they realize the governor is a psychopath. Merle and Andrea have their conversation when he says, "Oh, what happened, sugar? Did they leave you behind too? Oh, how come we never hooked up?" They built right down here a nice fake wall and back behind here. And that made the courtyard where the governor and Andrea had a little flirt going on. Can't find it in the town? Make your own, film it, and then you're gone. You just watch the show, you'd never know that this one building was used 3 different times in The Walking Dead as 3 different locations, as 3 different places. So the first one you've got right here, this gray building, this is Woodbury, Georgia. This is where we had the governor, had his torture chamber set up for Andrea. Right there, that red door, he's actually getting ready to unlock it while Andrea's inside, and somebody walks up, has a conversation with him and everything, who doesn't know she's in there. Now the other side of this building was used for the season 7 finale, and it was just a quick little shot. And they're just walking down this wall, and it's after all hell had broken loose in Alexandria.
This is the third side of the same building.
Same building.
Different location.
Different location. We call this the JSS wall. Right? This is where you have Enid in her car with her parents. Walkers come around the corner and she says, "Mom, Dad, they're coming." And her parents say, "Don't worry, honey, we got this."
Nope.
And they did not got this.
They did not got this.
These 2 buildings right here.
Yeah.
These were not here back in season 3. And I only know this because I was a Woodburyan back in season 3. Well, the very first day I'm on set, they said, "Come on, we got to get you propped up. We got to get you some weapons."
Yeah.
And I'm thinking AK-47, M16, rocket launcher.
Yeah.
That would be
You
cool.
have to survive.
Right, I will take one of those.
Yeah.
We walk down in a single file line, and the first guy comes out holding a machete.
Okay.
Second guy comes out with an axe.
All right.
Okay, we're not at the gun thing, I get it. My turn. I walked in and I came out holding a broom.
And as you can see, I mean, Woodbury is really not far from the Alexandria set, which blew my mind the first time I came down here. It's just amazing. I mean, 1,000 feet in either direction, and you're in those 2 locations.
It's right across the block from one another. They put this wall up right around these houses. They built a couple just to fill in some space, but there's legitimate houses in there. There's actually 4 families that live in the walls of Alexandria. The most safeguarded, walled community in history, right there.
You do not need an alarm system in your house if you live in there. So that was part of the foot tour that Atlanta Movie Tours offers down here in Sonoy, Georgia with the Walking Dead sets. That was pretty, I mean, that was awesome. Thank you for showing us around.
My pleasure, always.
Now, we're gonna go do this bus tour. This is a 3-hour-long tour. So
Yes,
if you guys want to do it, you're gonna have to come out here to Sonoy, Georgia, and I can only, I haven't done it yet, but I do think it's worth the trip.
Absolutely, 100%. And you get a little behind-the-scenes stories. You know, you get some information you haven't heard anywhere else because the guides are all kind of insiders to the movie industry. So.
And you brought a guest.
Oh, I don't go anywhere without my baby Lucille.
Let's do this.
You got it. Come along. You are gonna enjoy this tour.
Huge thanks to Atlanta Movie Tours for having us. That was an absolute blast. It was really cool. I totally recommend checking them out, especially if you're heading to Atlanta next weekend for Walker Stalker Con. If you are, by the way, we will see you there. But right now, let's talk about episode 100. There were a whole bunch of different timelines in this episode, right? So we need to kind of break this all down. We need to take a look back at this entire episode. So first of all, we had the old man Rick reveal as seen in the trailer, but the big tell here is baby Judith. She ain't no baby no more.
No.
All right. How much time do we think has passed? I say 4 to 5 years.
Gosh, I mean, it's, if we're talking about the little girl Judith, she seems to not have aged incredibly quickly, but he looks like Herschel. It's been a hot minute for Rick. It also hasn't been that long for Michonne. Michonne looks young and chipper and beautiful and no gray hair.
I think Rick just had the Barack Obama effect. He went gray. He's been the leader for so long, and it stressed him out, and he went all gray.
Really good point, yes.
But, another timeline, interestingly enough, appeared to be in the future, but not as far ahead. It's a worn-down Rick. We saw this a few times. There's like a rainbow reflection on his face, clearly having experienced a good bit of pain by this point. Janelle, what do you think? Where are we?
Well, in the teasers for this new season, we did see him. He was locked up we're guessing. We saw an injured man locked up in what seemed to be a trailer at the garbage people's hangout. So it could be after that.
He did say in one of those cuts of that, he said, "My mercy prevailed over my wrath," which is the same thing we heard from that guy at the gas station. We'll talk about him in a second, but that all ties to the comic. But in the sequence that recreated several beats from the very opening scene of The Walking Dead's very first episode, where he was in the sheriff hat and the sheriff car, truck on its side, they went to a gas station. I believe this is somewhere in the past, possibly, before this season, but before the rally and the attack on the sanctuary. But it may very well actually be like the even less distant future, like there's different versions of the future we're seeing. But we met Avi Nash's character. He's a new regular on the show. I believe believe he's playing Siddiq. He's the one who said, "Let your wrath prevail, let your mercy prevail over your wrath." He's an ally in the comics if he is Siddiq, and he's a survivor from Oceanside. But what's most important is he said, "My mercy prevailed over my wrath," while pleading with Carl and Rick. And as we know, Rick's mercy prevailed over his wrath in the comics when it came down to the final battle with him and Negan.
Wow.
But we don't want to say too much there to avoid spoilers.
Just so that everybody knows, I do not read ahead in the comics. I try to stay with the show. So I am hurting just as much as you with the spoilers.
But we try, that's why what we do here. They don't do this on Talking Dead. We break down the comics.
We do.
And we give you things that you might expect. But they always change things from the comics. So you
Right.
don't really
You can't
know
count
for
on
sure.
it.
Like, I mean, there's characters. Morgan is dead in the comics.
I know.
Carol is dead in the comics. Things like that. So, but they've clearly outlived it and they've done things differently. Abraham
Right.
had a very different death in the comics.
And then they stay true to the comics in some ways, like with my man.
Well, poor
Glenn.
Glenn. R.I.P. But of course, there was the last of the 4 timelines. It all came full circle in this episode, kind of. We saw Rick rallying the troops and preparing for the all-out war, which was through these timelines, both marched to and carried out throughout episode 100. It was really cool. I mean, I like this style of storytelling. It's nothing The Walking. It's
I
like
do too.
they've never done anything like this before. The season 6 premiere had the then and now thing.
Right.
This has it doesn't even tell you when.
I love that it keeps you guessing. I think it keeps the episode really intriguing. It keeps you kind of on the edge of your seat in a different way, not quite as much in a negative and violent way.
Yeah,
it's cool.
I dig it. But I got to talk to Greg Nicotero about this, director of the episode, executive producer, and I'll just let him tell you what he thinks of the timelines.
Yeah, I think so. I counted 4 as well, and I think that for sure, they aren't just one-off visuals. I mean, the way that Scott and the writers like to unfold these stories is really to give the audience an opportunity to put the clues together for themselves. Sometimes you'll just get one or 2 shots of something, and then another episode or 2 later you'll get another shot, and you start putting it together.
So now I want to talk about Easter eggs.
Love Easter eggs. Easter
Everybody
eggs are
loves
one of my favorite things. It really is. I saw the flower with Carol last week during the teaser, and that was really awesome. But one of the things I do want to talk about was kind of the callback to Glenn when he reached out to Rick in the tank. I loved that RV moment.
Yeah, this is a straight up recreation of the very first episode. It's like the way it zoomed out. That's the way it ended in Atlanta when Rick was trapped and we heard Glenn's voice for the first time. R.I.P. I think we say R.I.P. Glenn here more times.
It's just because of I force it. We will never forget you, Glenn.
But I caught an interesting Shane Walsh Easter egg because everybody knows Shane likes to say, "Let me ask you something, Rick." When Negan and Rick were exchanging a few words, Negan's on the balcony. He says, "Let me ask you something, Rick." And I actually talked to Greg Nicotero about that, and he did say that was intentionally gave him a little direction to kind of echo John Bernthal. It's not textbook Shane Walsh. There was no, "Let me ask you something, Rick," head scratch. But it was still fun.
Oh.
It was cool.
Another callback. I'm sticking with the first episode references. The little girl zombie. That was definitely a callback, and I'm not sure if that was a hallucination or if he really saw her. Did he go kill her? They just left us hanging.
Yeah.
And it was really
And,
cool.
I mean, crazy enough, this was actually the little girl who played that little girl zombie carrying the teddy bear in the pink robe.
Mm-hmm.
That's Addie Miller. She is looking at colleges now. You feel old yet?
Whoa.
Hey, Addie, if you're watching, go to University of South Carolina.
Or University of Florida.
Janelle, you're going to hate this one because it's a callback to Glenn dying. But like I said, we're always going back to that. It's bittersweet because this is revenge for your boy. Rick used a Polaroid camera to take a picture of the sanctuary after they attacked it. It was burning up. It was the same way Negan and the Saviors took pictures of Glenn and Abraham after they were slaughtered.
I did not even remember that moment when we were reviewing this. I went, wait, why did he take a photo? I was crying so hard when this happened, when Glenn was, I literally blacked out during that episode because I was so upset.
You might be.
But you know what? I am okay with Rick taking that photo because I just love it. I love that Rick shot Negan. He shot Negan, I think he got injured. We don't have confirmation on that for sure, but.
He's totally limping and holding his leg. But finally, among the many Easter eggs we're going to rattle off here on After the Dead, we have one that is very super exclusive for you to check out. Remember that herd of zombies that took over the sanctuary? Yeah, well, yours truly is in the pack. This was, so yeah, there I am. This was so cool. That is actually, I'm super excited about this. That was one of the coolest days of my life. I actually got to go out to the set of The Walking Dead. I got to be a zombie. They had about 200 on set that day. I got to do the full makeup. It was amazing. I promise I've already tweeted a picture of it. Go to Twitter if you want to see it.
Amazing.
It was super cool. It was 3.5 hours worth of makeup. It was like an 18-hour day. I have nothing but respect for the people who play the zombies on this show. They deserve all the respect in the world.
You were saying you couldn't see, that you put in the contacts, you're blind.
You put those contacts in, and it is difficult to see. I mean, you put your hand in front of your face like that, and you can hardly see it.
Wow.
And it was a very smoky day because there was a lot of shooting going on. It was really cool.
Was it super hot? I could ask you a million questions about this.
Well, it was Georgia. I mean, it was May. We shot this in May. I loved it. It was one of the coolest days of my life. I could go all day. We gotta move on because it was one of the coolest things I've ever.
I love seeing BD fan out. It's rare that you really get him fanning out, and we're having a BD fan moment.
It's true. I'm geeking out because that is a bucket list item. That's a bucket list item. I achieved it. I'm very happy about it.
So cool.
I'm gonna brag about it forever. I'm a star of the biggest show on cable.
Yeah, you're the star. You are definitely the star.
But the next thing we have to talk about, enough of me, we have to talk about Father Gabriel. I mean, do you think this guy is dead?
Oh gosh, I do not think Father Gabriel is dead. I think that Negan is going to hold on to him and use him as bait. He has bigger plans. I know his gut instinct is probably to want to kill him or bash him in the face, but I think that he's a smart man. Negan is a smart man. I think he's going to hold on to Father Gabriel.
Negan was actually the more reasonable guy in this episode,
That's
if you think about it. And I was thinking while watching it, is there any way Father Gabriel survives this? Because there's no way Negan lets him live. But he was the more reasonable guy, it seemed like. He was like, there's no reason to throw that at each other. And also, Father Gabriel has a certain comic book death to fulfill.
Yep.
Just like Glenn, he had a brutal, brutal, brutal death. As you're seeing right now, this is Father Gabriel falling off a water tower right at the beginning of the Whisperer War. And then Beta comes along and just slashes him open. And it is horribly brutal. I mean, I don't know. This might take the cake. This might be worse than Glenn because on the next couple pages, the next couple pages, Gabriel is just completely devoured while he's hanging upside down with his guts hanging out. I actually did talk to Father Gabriel actor Seth Gilliam about that brutal page. This was back at Paley Fest. Check out his perspective. In the comics, Father Gabriel just had one of the most brutal deaths of anybody ever.
There were two 13-year-old kids who came over who were so eager to show me this thing. And I was like, oh, that's bad. Oh, that's bad. It's not over? He's what? Breaks his ankle, then he gets his throat cut, or he gets like his stomach slit, then he gets fed to the bone. It's like, that's a hardcore way to go. I think it's actually a more dramatic death than Glenn's. Though Glenn trying to gurgle out Maggie with the bat is hardcore. But I think hanging upside down and whatever the whispers or whatever. No.
So if the show gets to that point, which would probably be season 12, 13, I don't know. It seems like it's not slowing down. Is that how you want to go out? Do you feel like that's a worthy death?
I think that's more than a worthy death, man. That's like 3 deaths in one. I don't know how it played. I would definitely lose my voice before the throat was cut. But I think that would be pretty much the only way Father Gabriel could go. You know what I mean?
And now,
because he's eaten to the bone, right? Like they walk away and it's like a skeleton.
Literally, and it's hanging there and it's horrible. Now, we didn't see anyone in particular die in this episode. A lot of fans are probably breathing a sigh of relief, even though I know you guys want Negan dead, because this show can be extremely deadly. So to remind us of how brutal The Walking Dead can be, let's take a quick look at the 10 best deaths on The Walking Dead.
Finally, after 6 long, grueling months, The Walking Dead on AMC returns for its 8th season. What's up, guys? I'm Chris Killian with Comicbook.com, and fans are pumped to see this latest season adapt the all-out war storyline from the comics as the survivors of the Alexandria Safe Zone, the Hilltop Colony, and the Kingdom all join forces to take on Negan and the Saviors. Now, it's no secret that one of the biggest reasons fans keep tuning in year after year to The Walking Dead is because the show features some of the most unexpected deaths on television. Some of those deaths affected affected us emotionally, and some of them were just so gruesome they felt seared into our brains for days after seeing them. So grab your tissues or maybe a barf bag, because today I'm going to recount the 10 best deaths on The Walking Dead. Starting off our list at number 10 is Andrea. While we don't physically see Andrea kill herself, the moment her neck becomes a walker snack, everyone knows Andrea's time is up. After an emotional goodbye with Rick and Michonne, they give her a gun, and watching them sadly wait outside is almost worse than seeing the actual death. At number 9, I grouped together the deaths of Jesse, Sam, and Ron. For a minute there, all signs were pointing to Rick and Jesse becoming a happy couple, but alas, it was not meant to be. All thanks to Sam freaking out in the middle of a herd of zombies. Naturally, seeing your son get devoured by walkers is tough, so Jesse breaks down and then also gets eaten, but not before Rick has to chop off her arm to save Carl. Then Michonne kills Ron to save Rick. That's what I call a bad day. Number 8 is Dale. Out of everyone on the list, I might miss Dependable Dale the most. His death is probably one of the reasons so many fans hate Carl, since it was Carl who inadvertently caused Dale's death when he accidentally freed the walker who would go on to attack Dale. As Dale is laying there with his guts all hanging out, it's Daryl who takes Rick's gun and Mercy kills him. In the 7th spot is Shane. Now that Jon Bernthal is killing it for Marvel as the Punisher on Netflix, it's easy to forget just how much we hated Shane on the show. At first it seemed like Shane might be an okay dude, but his insane jealousy over Rick slowly led to one of the series' most tense moments, and somebody had to die. At number 6 is Lori Grimes, another death that proved just how resilient both Rick and Carl truly are. Now obviously, I don't know from personal experience, but pregnancy in the modern world seems tough alone, so I can't imagine how bad it must be in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. Sadly, it proved to be too much for Lori, and she dies during childbirth due to the loss of blood, and Carl has to do what he's gotta do. Number 5, Abraham. No one rocked a Fu Manchu and a wife beater better than tough guy Abraham, so is it any wonder that he'd have the best last words of anyone on the show?
My nuts.
He takes a barbed wire bat to the skull and still manages to spout off at Negan. Abraham is, or was, awesome. And number 4 is Herschel. I'll hate you forever, Governor, for killing Herschel. Up until his death, Herschel had had quite a few close calls, even losing his leg after a zombie bite because he was a tough old dude. Hell, even a full-on katana blade swing to the neck didn't fully behead him because Herschel was the man. His demise was one of the toughest deaths on the show, and it affected everyone in the group. Coming in at number 3 is Noah. Emotionally speaking, everyone was way more concerned about Glenn here, but Noah's death is probably a top candidate for the most viscerally gruesome death in the series as a whole. While Glenn is trapped in that revolving door, we're forced to watch zombies fishhook Noah's face off, which was pretty much the stuff nightmares are made of. And at number 2 is the unexpected deaths of both Lizzie and Mika. There were telltale signs early on that Lizzie was a little psychopath, but viewers never anticipated the show was gonna go to such a dark place. After killing her little sister, Lizzie also planned on killing Rick's baby, leaving Carol little choice but to put her down. But at least Carol let her look at some pretty flowers in her final few seconds. And the top spot goes to Glenn. I mean, who else could have taken this spot? No other death on The Walking Dead has been as emotional, gruesome, or true to the comics. We waited for 6 months to find out who Negan killed, and most of us assumed the worst was over when he cracked Abraham's skull, but the worst was not over, and Glenn's eye-popping death, pun intended, was all the more devastating when he tried to say goodbye to Maggie.
Maggie, I'll find you.
What did you think were the best deaths on The Walking Dead? Let me know in the comments, go check out some more of our videos, and most importantly, thanks for watching.
We promised you cast and crew here on After the Dead. We got you cast and crew here on After the Dead. We had a chance to speak with executive producer and director of the episode, Greg Nicotero, to get some extra details and inside info. Check this out. Joining us now for After the Dead, the director of Sunday's episode 100 on The Walking Dead and some of the best episodes of the entire series, executive producer and horror genre genius, Greg Nicotero. Greg, man, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey man, thanks for having me on. It's awesome.
Of course, man. Well, first of all, I mean, congratulations. I've said this to you before. I'm going to say it to you again. Congratulations on 100 episodes because this is huge for television. So when you're looking back at all of this and all these episodes and how far both the show and you have come, I mean, what stands out the most? And how do you think the show got this far? What do you think it was that made this so special that it's such a phenomenon?
Well, it's pretty wild because when I look at the retrospect clips that AMC has put together, we all look like babies. You know, there was 8 years old or 9 years old. Everybody looks so young, and you forget about the journey that the show has gone on, and our characters in the story has gone on. I mean, starting with Shane and Lori and Merle and Andrea, the show just has this amazing ability to be able to appeal to a massive number of people. I attribute a lot of that to the actors and to the cast that create this sort of relatability, set up in the backdrop of the zombie apocalypse, which gives me an opportunity to do some great makeups and some fun, scary stuff. But, there's somebody that each viewer can relate to, whether it's Maggie or Carol or Daryl or Glenn or Rick. The show has evolved into something that I don't think any of us really expected or were prepared for.
Yeah, it's really something special. And also, you mentioned everybody looked a little different. Dude, your hair was a whole lot shorter back in the early days. I feel like every season I see pictures of you and it's just going to reach your feet one day.
Longer. When we shot season 3, episode 15, which was when Merle was killed, Norman, Andy, and I all sat around and said, man, it wouldn't just be cool if for the rest of the show everyone's hair just kept growing. Great, we should do that. I said, I'll start growing my hair. You guys start growing your hair. And then about 3 or 4 months later, I saw Andy and Norman, and they had both cut their hair. And I went, wait, what happened to our, we're going to grow our hair long sort of thing?
That's funny.
And, we had a GQ photo shoot, so we cut our hair. I'm like,
Oh, those divas.
Fortunately, I don't have a GQ photo shoot, so I can grow my hair as long as I want.
Hey, what? But, okay, so we got to talk a little bit about this episode. I've watched the Season 8 premiere 3 times now. And for me, I think it gets better each time because of the flash-forward devices and all those things. There's things you pick up on. There's so much packed into the episode. Having directed it, of these storylines, I want to ask you, is there anything in particular that you're thinking fans should be looking out for? Any clues or serious plot details or indications of when these timelines are, what's going on in these timelines, anything like that you say would be sprinkled in there that might be good for people to go back and look at?
Well, listen, as the show unfolds in the first 8 episodes, a lot of these little clues and these little puzzle pieces that we're laying out in the first episode will become very apparent. You'll get to it. The whole thing is be patient and allow these visuals and these little clues to ripen and to grow. But it really is, aside from setting the stage for this war and for everything that's coming up in season 8. It also, we spend some time setting up some tributes to past episodes and past characters, and that's something that will continue throughout the season. Just being tremendously respectful and proud of what we have been able to do over the last 8 years. So there's a lot of great stuff to it. I think as you watch the episode over and over again, you will start to recognize and notice. You'll learn a little bit more each time that you see it. When you watch it the first time, you have no idea what the plan is. You don't know what the heck they're doing. You see them assembling these metal plates that they're attaching onto the sides of the cars, and you have no idea what's going on. And then it, of course, reveals itself halfway through the episode. And as Negan puts it, I see you brought your mud flaps, which is probably my favorite line in the entire episode. I laugh every time I see it. But it was definitely a challenging episode to direct, knowing, number one, that it was our 100th episode, but also knowing that we really did have to set the stage for everything that's coming up in season 8 and onward.
Right. Now, when I was on set, I got to come to set a couple times for this episode. It was an amazing experience. But you told me there was always going to be walkers this season. There will always be reminders that this really is, the world belongs to the walkers. Right now, the sanctuary totally overrun with walkers. So I'm wondering, I know you love this stuff, like the makeup, the walkers, the tributes. Are there any walkers or terrifying moments with walkers that you can kind of talk about that are coming up? Any tributes?
Well, there's some great stuff coming up in the first few episodes, which you'll get into. The main thing for us in this episode was, number one, every time you see a lookout, every time that you see you're outside of the frame of reference of our world, you will be reminded that the dead are still there. You'll see, when Daryl kills the lookout on the hood of the car, there's a walker in the background. When Rick stabs the lookout right before the group gets together, and there's the walker that's melded to the telephone pole. It really is important for us to never forget that the world belongs to them. And what happens is you have all these humans that are fighting amongst themselves when they really, if they were smart, would have banded together to try to make the world a better place. But circumstances, egos, whatever it is that's going on has kept them from doing what they really need to do to survive, because now they have to deal with Negan, or in Negan's perspective, now he has to deal with Rick.
Man, if I was Rick, I'd just be so tired of these people. He's just trying to do something nice for the world. And Fear the Walking Dead just perfectly showed how it all falls apart. I mean, so many people making egotistical choices there. We see it on both shows. But back to season 8. I know you're currently prepping the season 8 finale, which I think is your 5th episode of this season. So, is this the most you've ever directed in a single season?
No, I directed 5 last year, and I think 5 the year before.
Cool.
By the end of the year, I'll be up to 25 episodes that I've directed. And it's, the fun thing about it is every episode gives me a different opportunity to do something different. And with the season premiere, it was a pretty epic undertaking. I had every single actor in the series, and I had to serve their storyline or launch their storyline. And we had 85 scenes to shoot, because there's a lot of quiet at the beginning. There's a lot of montage pieces, recreating the gas station sequence and replacing Carl with Rick, and doing that sort of shot for shot homage. It was a really, really complicated episode. And these scripts are dense, and there's a lot of story that we want to pack into them. And that's part of what we're doing this season. Instead of allowing storylines to play out over a long length of time, we're really trying to service these characters in a more succinct manner, where we get a chance to see what Daryl's up to and what Carol is up to and what Morgan and Rick. So I think it's a very different pace in terms of The Walking Dead. Very different than we certainly have dealt with in the last couple seasons. And I think that's one of the reasons why the show feels as propulsive as it is.
Yeah, I love that. And I love how you guys are doing tributes and stuff, because, this is a show, and I know so many people can kind of relate to this. Like, I started watching this show with my mom back when I was finishing high school, and now here I am. I got to go with her to Madison Square Garden to watch it, and you guys showed that reel of 99 episodes, and I know a lot of people feel like it brings them together. So you see these tributes, and it kind of takes you back. So I can only imagine for you as a filmmaker to see that and be a part of it must be really cool for you too. But something that's new is the fact that the F word has finally been greenlit by AMC twice a season. So I talked to Andrew Lincoln just before we were talking. He told me he did a take in the episode where he was using the F word on the countdown. I wish they kind of had this approved for the Terminus train car scene. But in season 8 now, when can we expect to hear this for the first time? Is this something people should be excited for?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something they should be excited for. I mean, the trick is Negan uses that word almost every sentence. So it's finding the right moment that has the correct impact. And I think that's sort of where we are. The moment that Andy's talking about is when he says to Negan, "Oh, you're going to make me count." And then he goes 10, 9, 8, 7, and then he just says, F it. Cocks a gun and opens fire on Negan and the group. And I think we had finished mixing this episode before the F takes were approved by AMC. Otherwise, that would have been the perfect spot to put it in.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. And when I was on set, I saw the scene with Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan and Seth Gilliam as Father Gabriel, and he just peppers in the F word all over the place. So they weren't on the DVD this season. I'm wondering, is there a plan to ever show those scenes to people?
Yeah, there is. I know when we did the finale, the season 6 finale, we had shot multiple takes. I think what happens is, and again, unfortunately, because we have 8 days per episode, having the opportunity to cut to multiple takes and to do it over and over again, sometimes we just run out of time.
Right.
We need as much opportunity to create the scenes as we can. But I know in the last episode that I directed, I was very clear about making sure that I shot the alternate takes with Negan so that we have them. And in some instances we do, in some instances we didn't. I think that might be why they didn't end up on the DVD. I was kind of surprised myself because I thought they were going to be on there. So
Right. And now, before I do hope Father Gabriel survives that. I don't know what scenario pops up where Father Gabriel gets away from Negan when they're surrounded by zombies, but I really hope he does because he's become one of my favorite characters. But before I let you go, the hot topic right now is obviously the Fear the Walking Dead crossover news. Everyone has their own theory, right? I'm sure you've heard about Abraham. Some think Morales is going to come back. Others want to see Madison or Alicia become a whisperer. Of the theories you've heard of, has anybody hit the mark with it? Has anybody kind of been on to something there?
Nope,
Wow.
not yet.
Oh, interesting.
But they should, because I think, listen, I love the fan theories, and the Abraham one, was certainly intriguing and definitely my favorite. I will tell you that I've read the first 2 outlines, and they're astonishingly good. It really got me very, very excited about the upcoming season. And I think Andrew and Ian, the new showrunners, did an amazing job. So there's great stuff coming up on Fear the Walking Dead next year. Great stuff.
That's where the crossover will take place?
Well, I'm not sure when it's going to take place. I'm telling you that of the first two, outlines that I've read, they're great. They got me really, really excited about the show, and really excited about the story. But I don't know when we're actually introducing that. But listen, the fans come up with some great ideas, and even if they were on point, I couldn't tell you that.
Hey, that's fair enough. Look, I'm excited about this stuff because I loved Fear the Walking Dead Season 3. Thought it was fantastic, and I can't wait to see. You just got me more excited for it. But also right now, we're in the midst of The Walking Dead Season 8, so I know you're a busy man. Thank you so much for joining us right here on After the Dead, Greg. Everybody watching, show your love for Greg Nicotero in the comments section, and make sure you're watching Walking Dead every Sunday night at 9 Eastern. But you knew that, guys. Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, man. Take care.
All right, guys, now it is time for my favorite part of the show. It is a time where you guys ask questions, we answer. If you want to talk to us more, hit us up on Twitter, at Janelle Wheeler, at Brandon Davis PD. Leave your questions in the comment section of our live show, and share our page with your friends so they can join the conversation as well. Janelle, what is going on in the comment section?
Okay, Howard Ramirez is asking what is going to happen to Lucille in the new season of The Walking Dead?
First of all, can we talk about Howard Ramirez's profile picture there? Look at it.
Amazing.
There's Negan. Is that him?
I hate to tell you, Howard, I really think that Lucille is going to be no more. I don't know. Have you seen Kari Payton has put up a T-shirt for everyone to buy where Shiva is eating.
Oh, God.
Eating Lucille.
You can't. I don't care if you're a tiger. There's a few things you can't eat. You can't eat a barbed wire baseball bat. I think Lucille will be thirsty all season long. She'll do a couple leanbacks, and I don't think there will be any more victims this season, but I also don't think Lucille will die this season.
Too bad. All right. Ignacio Vasquez is asking, which finale was better, Fear, Season 3, Walking Dead, or The Walking Dead from last season?
Oh, man, Ignacio, I think everyone who follows me is going to know what I'm going to say here. I really loved The Walking Dead Season 7 finale. It was one of the best episodes of last season. Not the best episode of last season, but one of the best episodes of Season 7. Fear the Walking Dead Season 3 finale was the most excited I've been by either Walking Dead show since Shane died and Herschel's farm was lit on fire and was overrun by zombies. It was a masterpiece. It was Dave Erickson's grand finale as the showrunner. I loved it. I am going with Fear the Walking Dead Season 3 finale.
I agree. I do agree with you. I can't believe I agree with you, but I was so shocked. I actually started watching Fear the Walking Dead, gave up after the first season, let it go, and then when Season 3 started, I caught up because everybody was telling me that the third season was so great that I caught up, and I'm so glad I did. This finale was incredible. Y'all, if you don't watch Fear, you should.
You're missing out.
You really should.
Missing out big time. That's all I have to say about that.
Awesome.
Fear is great now.
Okay, Nick Apolinar is asking, do you think Carl will outlast Rick in the show?
Hey, Nick. Do I think Carl will outlast Rick on the show? Yes, absolutely. Robert Kirkman has said several times that Rick is going to die. Andrew Lincoln just recently said he's open to Rick dying. I think the end goal here is to have Rick die and Carl kind of take the lead. And we saw that in this episode where Michonne looks to Carl and tells him he's in charge of Alexandria. That's kind of a little foreshadowing there. I think he's going to go back to Hilltop, kind of get his degree, and, you know, become a big player there. But no, I think Carl definitely outlasts Rick. Which is also Robert Kirkman's dad's name is Carl.
Oh.
And I think there might be a little tribute.
He's biased.
Yeah, he's got a little favoritism going on.
I think you could also see clearly in this episode that there's a little tension between Rick and Carl. I don't think Carl loves the way that Rick is running things from time to time, and it sounds like an overthrow of...
It's also always flip-flopping because Carl either wants to be the one killing everybody.
Yeah.
And now Rick finally is like, I shot above his head, what? And Carl's like, you
gotta leave him some food.
Yeah, Carl wants to save people all of a sudden, and Rick wants, Carl, stay in the house. Stay in the house.
All right, we got one more question. Tyrone Scott is asking, when is the crossover supposed to happen?
Oh, I like the Abraham picture there. Hey, Tyrone. As we kind of talked about at the top of the show, if you're just joining us, welcome to After the Dead. When we wrap up here, I suggest watching us from the beginning because we dove deep into the crossover and the theories. I firmly believe every bit of information I've had, and I haven't had any confirmations, but I think it's going to be in Fear the Walking Dead Season 4. I don't think it's going to be in The Walking... I know it's not The Walking Dead Season 8. I don't think it's going to be in The Walking Dead Season 9. I think it's going to be Fear the Walking Dead Season 4. I think we're either going to see Morales or Abraham pop up, and in the off chance that it happens on The Walking Dead, I think Kalataka Walker, Michael Grey-Eye's character, becomes Beta on The Walking Dead.
That is still such a great theory. I would actually love to see all of those, so who do I need to talk to? All of those would be great. I want to see...
Let's give Scott Gimple a call.
Yes, let's do it. Hey, you have his number, don't you?
Don't tell anybody. Guys, thank you so much for watching After the Dead tonight. We had a blast. For more information, go to Comicbook.com/The Walking Dead because we are going to have some epic coverage from the premiere of The Walking Dead in Los Angeles tonight. Some exclusive interviews with the cast and crew. We will be back next week right here on Facebook for another episode of After the Dead. Walker StuckerCon is in Atlanta next weekend. We hope to see you there. Be sure to like and follow our page. Feel free to hit us up on Twitter at Janelle Wheeler, at Brandon Davis BD. We appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next Sunday. Until then, just survive somehow.